All right. Good evening. What is that? I'm Terry Holland.
And I'm Stefano Casalter.
And tonight we're going to talk about humor.
That's right. How to add humor to your speeches.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this because I tried 3 times to do a live video. I tried 3 times to do a live video last week and failed miserably.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're here to save the day.
We'll see.
So what is humor?
What is humor?
Would you consider yourself funny?
Not at all.
No, I used to consider myself unfunny.
Mm.
And if you think you're unfunny as well, don't worry about it because there's an actual formula for humor. Did you know that? You could make humor out of your speeches and presentations, even if you don't think you're funny.
Nice.
So what is humor? Humor is basically an exaggeration or surprise. So as soon as you trigger some sort of surprise or unexpected outcome of what you're saying, it causes humor. It makes people laugh.
Mm-hmm.
So for instance, in a regular joke, like you have a setup, which basically creates a story in somebody's mind. Then you have the punchline, which crushes the expectations of what you're trying to get across with the first story. So do you have an example of something like that?
Do I have an example?
Yeah.
Of what? Sorry.
All right. So I'll give you an example of a setup and a punchline.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So for example, I could say, Terry Holland is an excellent speaker and hypnotist. In a 5 to 7 minute speech, she could put her arm.
I can't even say it.
I can't even say it. It's so funny. Okay, let's try it again.
Okay.
Terry Holland is an excellent speaker and hypnotist. In a 5 to 7 minute speech, she could put her entire audience to sleep.
You love that one.
It's amazing. Oh, Lord, that's just amazing. I didn't say there were good jokes, but it is a joke.
It is a joke, yeah.
You see, picture it this way. The setup is like a train going down the tracks. And everybody's expecting this train to get to the next station. But the punchline is like derailing the train at the last minute. And that's what causes humor, is the crushing of expectation.
Oh, or
the crushing of expectations.
Nice.
So how do we find humor in our speeches or presentations?
I said mine to you.
That's a lie. I think you came up with a lot of good jokes in your last speech.
Thanks.
But basically, if you're not funny, write your speech, and then you go back and you find the humor. It's like your speech is like a beach, and finding humor is like treasure hunting. It's you take a metal detector and you go over the beach, and eventually you find treasure. Those jokes are your treasure. So you can look for certain places where there's a setup of some sort of expectation, and then just write something that crushes it. I'll give you another example. So the other day, I'll do it like I'm telling a joke. This is one of my favorite jokes. The other day, we were out with our friend Lori, and we were having dinner, and we're talking about our Fearless Speakers weekend. And I was saying that I call Terry the Oracle because she's really good with NLP and all that. And Lori goes, "Oh, wow, that's cool. You call her the Oracle. What does she call you?" And Terry says, jackass.
True.
So basically what Terry did there was the expectation that she was going to say something nice about me, but instead she told the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Set up a crushing of expectations. What's another example here? Hang on. Another good way to get humor out of your speech is to exaggerate. And exaggeration is one of my bread and butter techniques that I do. For example, in my tall tale speech in 2015, it was all about Magnona, and the whole thing was completely exaggerated. It was a completely out of the world tall tale, but that's what made it funny. When you really exaggerate something, that's another way to cause some humor.
Nice.
Here's another one of my favorites, is taking a situation from good to bad. And this is another one of my bread and butter things, because for some reason I get into the worst situations. So just the craziest things, stupidest things happen to me, where it goes from good to bad, then from bad to worse and worse and worse and worse.
Those are my favorite stories.
What's that?
Those are my favorite stories.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Anyways, so for example, if you're riding a horse and you fall off the horse, it's somewhat funny. But it's even funnier if you fall off the horse and you roll down a gigantic hill. So that's from good to bad, bad to worse. And then even worse is, it'd be even funnier, you fell off the horse, roll down the hill, and landed in doo-doo. So if there's a situation where you can make yourself go from bad to worse, it creates humor.
Totally.
Yeah. So here's another example. The other day, I think my dog hates me, because the other day I took her for a walk, and she has these things where she takes poops, like she'll have a poop and then she'll move a few yards and have another poop. Well, this time she did that. She took a poop and I go down to grab it as she's taking another one. And then she starts digging her feet like dogs do after they take a poop. And a piece of poop went flying right in my mouth.
Oh,
yeah.
So gross.
Yeah, so that's good to bad. That's nothing. I was kind of gagging, and I went down on the ground, and my hand went right into another pile of poop. Funny for you.
That's awesome.
No, it's terrible. It was awful.
Amazing.
Yeah. And see, that one could get even worse and worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
Another one of my bread and butter techniques for humor is self-deprecation.
Yeah.
Make fun of yourself. If you could poke fun at yourself, people can really find the humor in it. And I see nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Oh, what else can we say here? Brevity.
Mm.
It's the soul of humor. What happens a lot of times is people put too many words in their jokes. So if there's too many words, cut them out. You should only have enough information in the setup to create the picture in someone's mind, and only the amount of information in the punchline to shatter the expectations. What happens with a lot of people is they put too many words in it, and it ends up not being any fun, not being very funny.
Nice.
Now, what else? Oh, well, here, I'll give you an example. How's that?
Okay, cool.
So the amazing joke that I told earlier, Terry Holland is an amazing speaker and hypnotist. Now tell me which punchline sounds funnier. She could put her entire audience to sleep in a 5 to 7 minute speech. Or in a 5 to 7 minute speech, she could put her entire audience to sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's better.
Yeah.
Do you know what makes that funnier? It's the punch word comes at the very end. So when we're creating our punchlines for jokes, make sure the funny part or the part that shatters the expectations of the setup is at the very end. That's so important. So many people do it the wrong way around. So when you're going through your jokes, just make sure you put the punch at the very end of the punchline.
Cool.
What else do I got written here?
What about pausing?
Ooh, good one.
Yeah.
So in order to make this formula work, when you give your audience the setup, you want to pause after the setup to let that image form in people's minds. If they don't have enough time to form the image of the first story in their minds, when you crush the expectation, it's not going to be as funny.
Right.
So for example, the joke with Lori, I could say that, oh, so what does Terry call you? Terry said, jackass. Or you could say, so what does Terry call you? Jackass.
A
Little bit funnier?
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, I said it, so it's obviously hilarious.
Here's another thing that's easy peasy is the rule of three.
Oh, yeah.
And the beauty of this one is I like to use this in my presentations with slides. See, in order to set up an expectation in a list, you have to show a pattern. The lowest number of beats in a pattern is 2. So brevity is important. So you have to have, if you say 2 things that are similar and the last thing is completely different, it crushes the expectation of that pattern. Does that make sense?
Totally.
So for instance, you have an example? We had an example of something like that. Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Terry Holland says, the 3 most important things in life are love, happiness, and shoes.
True.
There's a cute joke.
True.
But you expect something else nice to come after that, or not something sweet to come, like love, happiness, and prosperity or something. But it doesn't come. There's something completely different, which caused that crushing of expectations, what made it somewhat funny.
Nice.
What else have we got here? Oh, yeah. So the rule of 3 could be used in your presentations as well. And this is something like I like to do with my presentations is I'll have 2 slides which set up an expectation. So for example, I remember my mentor Ian did this one time. He was doing a speech on leadership and he had a slide. He was telling examples of great leaders. And the first slide was Barack Obama. And then the next slide was Mother Teresa. And then the third slide was the Toastmaster district governor in a clown nose. So it just it set up this really cool expectation of someone big to come in the third one, but ended up being a joke. So you can do that with your slides too.
Nice. I like it. That's my contribution.
That's amazing. So yeah, okay. Oh, one more thing. And this is so important, is test your jokes out. Not everything's going to be funny. But in order to find out if it's funny or not, you have to try it out. I can't tell you how many times something in my mind has been hilarious. When I put it in front of audience, I get straight crickets. So what I like to do is have a save. So when your audience is all uncomfortable after a bad joke, just pull out a line out of your pocket, which is, I call it a save, escape hatch, but it makes people laugh. So for example, if I tell a joke, Terry Holland is an amazing speaker and hypnotist. She'd put entire audience to sleep in 5 to 7 minutes and straight crickets. Then I would say something to the tune of, well, that one sounded funnier in my head.
Nice.
Or, for example, another one might be, oh, well, at least my mom finds me funny. So when you pull one of these out, this saved my butt about 2 years ago when I was in a contest and I cracked a joke about somebody else and it was straight crickets. And just by pulling out that save line, the whole audience just started erupting in laughter. It's the perfect way to break the ice of a dead joke going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. That's humor. That's some tips on humor anyways.
Nice.
There's other ways to do it. There's a whole formula that you can use to create entire humorous speeches where you can mine out different topics and a whole setup. I did an entire routine the other day just on one topic. And all I did was go through a certain formula to do it. The formula that allowed me to create expectations and then crush those expectations. So the whole thing, and it was really successful. So there are other ways. That's more of a day-long class or something like that. But
Cool.
There's some tips to get you started anyways.
That's awesome. Good. All right. Anything else?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. Okay, cool.
No. Try it. Add humor to your speeches, because if you're not funny, you're not going to get paid.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. My good friend, our good friend, Andrew Thompson, had said when he went to the World Championships in 2016, he said, the biggest thing that I learned at the World Championship was that people want to be entertained.
Nice.
So you must have humor in your speech. Write your speech and uncover that humor. It's like little treasures at a beach.
Cool. Well, thanks for watching tonight. What was that?
It's my someone told me the other day, they're like, if you want to look good on camera, you just have to kind of jut your chin out a bit and give a little eye squinch.
Amazing.
Was it?
Great tip. Great
I
tip.
give you some tips. Yeah, stick with me.
Sounds good. All right. Well, thanks for watching today. And we'll be back next week. Yeah, we're doing next week, right?
I think so. Sure.
Yeah, we'll be back next week. All right. Good night now.
All right. Good night now.